Hi there guys, welcome back to Classic Shack, and today we're going to be working on the old Landy. So for those who don't know, this is my 1979 Series 3 Land Rover. It's a short wheelbase and it's been converted to a 200 TDI with a hasty power steering kit. So I bought this as an up and running 2.25 diesel, and the engine failed almost immediately. So I did maybe 10 miles in it. I'm not sure it was even that much, to be honest. So I pulled it off the road, did the engine conversion, did the power steering conversion at the same time. So since having all this work done, it feels like it wanders a bit when you're driving it. So I had the tracking checked and that's all good. There's no playing any bushes or track rod ends or anything, so I know that bit's all good. Now, part of the thing with having a hasty power steering kit fitted is that it doesn't auto center naturally. When you've been round, say you turn a corner, the wheels don't automatically recenter very well. So I'm not sure if that's part of the reason that makes it feel like it's wandering, but today what I'm going to do is fit some caster correction plates to this in the hope that that helps to recenter the wheels after you've gone round a corner and help it feel like it's wandering less when you're driving. So I've been on eBay and bought some, turns out, Britpart camber correction plates. These are 3mm plates, or sorry, 3-degree correction plates. Just measure one of these up for you. They are, should probably be wearing glasses, almost 10mm at the thick end, and at the thin end 4mm. So today's job is to fit these wedges and hope that it helps with the wandering while driving the Landy. So yeah, let's get on with it. Okay, so I've moved the Landy back a little bit and I'm just going to measure a set height on it on the front bumper to see if, or to see how much fitting these wedges lowers the front of it. More for curiosity for me really, but my Land Rover has got a little bit of a lean on it to the passenger side. Now I believe they're meant to be like that, but I'm not sure. So I'm thinking I'm just going to pick a hole like this hole here and this hole here and just measure, use that as a guide and measure the top of the bumper. So the top of the bumper is 56.5 centimetres that side, and this side 55.5. So there's 1 centimetre difference in that. But yeah, I'll like move the Landy out of the garage now, get those wedges fitted, and then after I've been for a drive, let it all settle again, I'll measure that again and see if it has lowered it at all or not. Okay, so I've got the Landy all jacked up. I've got the 2 front wheels off, and basically we need to undo these here for the U-bolts, both sides, and then let me see if I can show you a little bit better from there. These plates, thick end facing forward, will then sit in there like that. They've already got a hole drilled in it, so you should be able to locate it on the spring, and I'm hoping there's enough room just for it to stick through the hole and still locate on these perches here on the axle. So I'm just going to get on with undoing these nuts, and then I'll be back once I've got that axle free. Just going to give these nuts and thread a quick wire brush. Just to make my life easier. Okay, so I've loosened off both sides. I ended up taking the shock absorber off the top mount on both sides to let it relax. And I think what I'm going to do now is, now that they're both loose, I'm going to jack up the axle and see if I can put the plates in one side at a time without taking the U-bolts completely off, if I can slide them in. Otherwise I'll have to take the U-bolts completely out, put the plate in, then reattach it all. So that's what I'm going to try now. Okay, so it turns out that's a no. So I'm just going to take the U-bolts completely off and then slip the plate in, put it all back together. Right, that's it completely off, the plate at the bottom. So I'm just going to jack up under the axle now. Just move that, see if you can see. Hopefully you should see daylight through this gap in a minute. There we go. And then the plate goes in this way round, so thick end facing the front of the car, the Land Rover. It slips over that. Okay, so I took the jack from under the axle, let it sit back down where it was, and it doesn't seem to want to move at all. So I'm assuming the tiny little bit of that stud that was sticking out of the top of the plate has been enough to catch this, and it is sat like pretty much perfectly on top of this wedge. So I've just put the plate back on loosely and the nuts on loosely. I'm just going to nip those up quick, and then I'm going to try see if I can move this. I'm only going to nip them up a little bit. Right, it doesn't want to move easily, so I'm thinking it is caught on that peg. So I'm just going to tighten these up a little bit more. In fact, I'm going to leave them loose while I do the other side, and then I'll come back, tighten them both, and then torque them back up. Right, I've got these plates back on, just nipped up. So I'm just about to torque these nuts up on the bottom of the U-bolts. They're 58 foot-pound, so I'm just about to do that now. Okay, so that's these all, both sides torqued back up. These are like literally just level with the bottom of the locking nuts. The other side, there's a bit of thread sticking out, but this side there's only a tiny little bit sticking through, so I might have to look into seeing if I can get longer U-bolts. But my next job is jack this axle up a little bit so I can put the shock absorbers back on, and then chuck the wheels back on and go for a drive. Okay, this is the driver's side, all back together now, and you can you? The plate is just in there, so on the rear end of it is just short, and on the front side of it it's just a little bit pronounced, and it's the same on the passenger side as well. You can see it's just a little bit short at the front, and it sticks out a little bit at the rear, so it's exactly the same both sides, and it's all torqued up now, so I'm happy to just bolt the wheels on, go for a drive, and then when I get back I'll recheck those U-bolts, make sure everything still looks like it's in the same place, and then I'll come back to you. Okay, I've been for about 12-mile drive. There's been no knocking or banging or anything, so everything was seated all right, and I think it drives better. It is a tiny little bit heavier on the steering, but I mean, this has got power steering, so it's not really a big problem. But yeah, it definitely drives better. It doesn't feel like it's wandering like it was before, and I've driven it on some, I'd say, pretty flat straight road, and also some more country roads in order to get where I am today. So yeah, I think it's a pretty good upgrade, well worth doing. So I'm going to head back home now and double check them U-bolts are tight again still, double check that, and I'll double check the wheel nuts tight again, and then I'll put it back in the garage, measure the front, see if it has dropped it at all, and yeah, I'll see you when I'm back home. Right, I'm back from the little drive. I've retorqued the wheel nuts and the U-bolts. So the wheel nuts were right, but all the U-bolts did need retorquing because they had like loosened off a little bit. So I'm glad I double checked that. Let's just measure the front of it again by that hole, and this is 55.5, so that's down 1 centimetre, and in between 54.5 and 55, so nearly a centimetre the other side. So It has dropped it about a centimetre at the front, but that's all right with me. Okay then, so that's that job done, and I think it was definitely worthwhile doing on mine. I think if you didn't have power steering, it would make the steering noticeably heavier when you're driving slower, but with this one having the power steering conversion, it was completely fine with it. It definitely made a difference when I was, especially driving at speed, like 45-50 mile an hour is definitely better then. So yeah, I hope you've liked this video. If you did, give it a like, drop me a comment if you recognise where I was when I took the little video of the walk around of it. Drop me a comment, and yeah, if you haven't done already, consider subscribing. So until the next one, see you guys later.